Red light on this time. Janora back into the gates. Raging favourite, Pans down, racing, Race for Gold straight out the back. Clairvoyance began very quickly. She's cruising through. Clairvoyance to lead the way from Mindari. Janora, who couldn't go with it with Clairvoyance. Pans down now, being ushered around the outside into fourth placing from How's the Serenity. Gee, they're going along at a good gallop too in the early part. Well back to Starfield Impact, Race for Gold, and last of all is Regardless. Along to the 550, and Clairvoyance steady the ship in front, leads the way from Mindari. 1.5 to Pans down, moving up into third spot outside Janora, who's being niggled at coming into the turn, followed further back by How's the Serenity. It's Clairvoyance who pricks her ears up at the 300, and she led by 2.5 on Pans down, who's all at sea behind it. Down the outside, Starfield Impact runs on with How's the Serenity, but with 100 left to go, and Clairvoyance has cleared out. She's giving them an absolute lesson, Clairvoyance. This is a star filly on the rise, don't worry about that. Clairvoyance won in a canter by 5 over Pans down, and then third home, probably Starfield Impact from How's the Serenity. A gap Regardless, Janora, followed further back in the field by Race for Gold, and knocking right up is Mindari, who has wound up at the tail end of the field, and that was a breathtaking win. She is very good. Clairvoyance, 2 for 2. Acceleration from the gates, just left effortlessly, but led 2 speedy horses. Led them easily. And then had Pans down, who was backed like there was no settling, off the bridle, gasping at the 300-metre mark, and has gone down to win by panels, hard held. It's won by about 5.5 to 6 on Pans down, who all of a sudden realised it was in a race. Starfield Impact ran third, How's the Serenity ran fourth, 4, 2, 1 and 8. But this is a filly that certainly must have Darren McAuliffe absolutely excited about what's ahead. Very, very good win today, and 58.82. Home in 34.89, but doing it on the bridle by 5 lengths. 2 lengths second and third, 5 lengths the winning margin. Clairvoyance by Nostradamus. Oh, for a crystal ball to see what's ahead there for her. Out of Dance on Air, for W. Watson, I. Townsend, C. Flett, S. Hams, C.S. Harms, T. Murray, Mrs. D. Pratt, G. Pratt, and Mrs. D. Abel, and Mesdames Artemis and Perkins, Carol, Reed, Wood Evans, and Impressive Racing's syndicate managed by Kevin Berry, trained by Darren McAuliffe, and an armchair ride for Chris Parnham. Number 2, Pans down second by Panzer Division from Moonrush, Simon Miller, William Pike. And number 1, Starfield Impact by Demerit from Starfield Image, Mike Santich, Jason Whiting. All right, the next event, the Crown Perth Handicap over 2,100 metres at 1:36. Let's get down there immediately now and catch up with you, Brittany. Darren McAuliffe is normally pretty measured post-race about his horses. He'd have to be excited about what we've just seen here this afternoon.
He's very excited, Darren. Darren McAuliffe does join me now. And Darren, we saw an avalanche of money for another horse in that race, but just speaking to you off air, I think that you were just as confident about yours.
Yeah, we're super confident. Yeah, she's done nothing but impress us the whole way through, and you know, anyone that wanted to listen, I've been saying she's a very, very nice filly.
Out of the gates, we know we saw a little bit slow, but just her stride length, is that her greatest asset out of the gates, that she can just find the front? Yeah,
she's got such a beautiful, lengthy, fluid action, and, you know, it enables her to muster quite quickly. So she's a big, big girl. I think the reason she is slightly tardy away, it's not necessarily education. I think it's more so, you know, she just gets a bit cramped up in there. So, yeah, she may even need some barrier extensions in the future just to give her that little bit more room, and may well help her ping out a bit quicker when she comes back next prep.
She was scratched last week. You're justified in waiting another week to go around. Why was the reason for the scratching?
Yeah, she'd pulled a shoe earlier in the week, and farrier was crook, couldn't sort of get the shoe on when we wanted to, and then she'd drawn wide, and there was just, you know, sometimes just things aren't right. So we, you know, I looked in the calendar and we had this race today, so I thought we'll just, you know, lower our eyes and come back in a week's time.
Seeing her at the sprint trips at the moment, in your mind, is she just a dynamite sprinter, or Is there a scope there to get out over further?
Well, I think she's a dynamite sprinter, but you know, if we can get her to stretch out a bit, well, world's her oyster. You know, she's pretty scary.
It is very, very scary. There are some big races later on in the year. What are your immediate plans now?
No, I'll wait for the dust to settle, and I'll have a beer tonight, and I'll think about it.
You enjoy that beer. You deserve it. Well done.
Thanks, Britt.
Darren McAuliffe, and I'd have a beer too if I had clairvoyance. Chris Parnham was the winning rider, and he's catching up with Scott.
Thanks, Britt. Here's Chris Parnham after the win of Clairvoyance. Chris, she was excellent on debut, but went to a new level today.
Yeah, exactly right. She was good on debut, but did things wrong, and today she was much more professional and put a space on them.
How good does she feel underfoot? You've obviously ridden a couple of Danny's 2-year-olds who look to have the world of ability. Where does she stack up against them?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have ridden a good group of young horses this season, so there's a couple of Danny's of his fillies that are really nice, but she's every bit as good as them. So, yeah, it's the progression she made from her first start to her second start was massive, so if she can improve more, it could be a bit scary.
Who's the horse for the rest of the day that you're looking most forward to?
I think Giraffe can run a race, very good place chance, and then I think horses like Rewrite the Stars and Montalina, you know, they're going to be hard to beat.
Could be a big day. Good luck, Chrissy.
Thank you.
Well, we've heard from both trainer and jockey who described that this filly could be scary. She's monstrous in size. She has enormous clairvoyance, and she looks like she has an enormous amount of ability too. For her big group of owners, Clairvoyance takes out the Varley Harvey Crossman plate.